What's up, guys?
Happy Monday, brothers.
Happy Monday. Welcome back to another episode of Whiskey and Water.
Welcome.
Happy Valentine's Day week, guys. Love is in the motherfucking air.
This is our first Valentine's Day episode.
Bitch.
Our first Valentine's Day episode either. Today we are joined by an amazing woman. Her name is Lisa Concepcion. She is Concepcion. She is a certified professional love life strategist, dating and relationship expert, and founder of Love Quest Coaching.
Yes, we have really good conversation about relationships, people unhappy in relationships, people happy being single, having a self-partnership with yourself. Like, we just go into so much, and it's just really good and really relatable. I mean, we both had conversations in there that I could super relate to, and then Jess had, a part where she could super relate to. So I think you guys are really going to love this episode.
Yeah, I think there's definitely something for everyone in this
absolutely.
episode.
Yeah, so if you're listening and you love the show, please take a screenshot and post it on your stories.
We love you, and we've been getting a lot of love.
Yeah, we really have. You guys are actually taking us seriously when we say that, because we've been getting a lot more story mentions, and it means so much to us every single time. So thank you. Please keep it up, and we love that for us.
Yeah. But yeah, before we dive into this episode, give me a little catch up, brother.
A little catch up. Okay, guys, the week has finally come where I can tell everyone that I have moved in to the duplex.
It happened. We are so excited.
I really thought I would never see the day.
We are so excited. I'm so excited for you.
I really thought I'd never see the day. It was a long 2 months. It was 11 or 12 weeks in total of renovation, and we're finally in. We're still kind of unpacking and doing the whole thing, but it feels so good just to sleep in a bed instead of a trundle bed, and have a kitchen and
have
a
your
bathroom.
Own space.
Oh, guys, I can't tell you how happy I am, but I may or may not have spent way too much money on some interior decor.
Oh my God, she sends me
a problem.
Sends me snaps at 3 different department stores. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing?
I went to 5 that day. Back to back to back to back.
Ridiculous.
What did I? Okay, so
I
went to
sick.
I told you I felt physically ill at one point. I was so overwhelmed by the things, and I was getting excited by things, but then I'd go to the next department store and find the same thing for cheaper. So I kept just buying everything, and then I was like, oh, I'll just return everything. And I started to put stuff in the space, and I'm like, oh, everything has a spot. Maybe I won't make any returns. Oh,
yeah,
God,
you spent
so
way too much.
I felt like I was going crazy. I was in the truck with it loaded, and I'm literally in the truck talking to myself who the fuck do I think I am?
You're like, I'm okay. This is fine.
Who the fuck do I think I am? But yeah, so that's been fun.
We love that for you. And I'm going to come over and take whatever you don't want.
Yeah, absolutely. I have these really cute vases, vases. How do you say it? Vase or vase?
It's a vase.
How do you say it, Zach?
I think you can say it both ways. Tomato, tomato.
Boom, bam. Thank you, Zach. Thank you, PD.
Who the fuck says tomato? Is my question.
People from 1940.
If someone said tomato, I'd be like, are you good?
Okay? Are you okay?
But yeah, I went to TJ Maxx, Home Goods, Marshalls, Five Below, I think it's called.
I've never heard of that.
But you know what? The best place, I gotta say, just a little pro tip, was Burlington Coat Factory. I found really good.
Why'd you even go in there?
Because Tyler's grandma told me to, so I did. Because grandmas always have the best little shopping hidden secrets.
OG.
Yeah, but they had really cute stuff for cheaper than all of the 5 stores.
That's so interesting.
Yeah. Hobby Lobby was so expensive. That was the most expensive one.
See, but it's nice the area that you're in though, because I'm definitely not gonna go to I can't hit 5 department stores in one day living in downtown Miami.
Oh, no, facts.
There's no way.
Yeah, I was up a little more north. And also, I made it a point to go to the nicest ones. The TJ Maxx that I went to and the 5 Below, I went to the ones that just opened, so I knew they'd have, good shit and not be, ratchet and dirty.
I'm down to do that. We still have to do an IKEA run, which I'm super about.
Yeah, we need to. I also scored a dresser on OfferUp yesterday. Shout out to OfferUp. $125. It's so cute.
Love that for you.
And low key, we found out today dollar stores got the hitters.
Pro tip.
We hit a dollar store today
to get our cute little Valentine's Day decorations, and they had soap, toothpaste, glasses.
Name brands, not dollar store brand, Colgate.
Dove,
yeah,
Colgate for $1. That's a good pro tip.
Don't sleep on it.
Don't sleep on
the dollar store.
We've been sleeping on it. Let's do a little Valentine's Day discussion before we get into our actual guest discussion.
Do you have any fun Valentine's stories?
I do, but you go first. Guys, okay, I'll sum it up.
My dating life
last year was rough.
Yeah, it's rough. We've come a long way.
But it's better now.
Yeah.
It's so good now.
It's so good.
You love yourself so much.
I'm not letting anyone fuck with this energy, bitch. Last year,
Rude.
Okay. Miami Sirens.
And that's about how it's gone.
That's how it went last year.
Someone signed the police.
Oh, actually,
What?
I forgot.
Huh.
Okay, so
Okay. Here we go.
last year at this time,
Mm-hmm.
I was on the fritz with my last relationship.
I still can't believe that was a year. It feels like a lifetime ago.
It feels literally like a lifetime
Why?
ago.
For
that's
me
so
too.
distant from just.
Yeah.
I think it's just we just
just-
separated ourselves from it so far.
Yeah.
Like just it wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
Our anniversary or whatever was like February 1st. And so I think we had like just celebrated like a year, but like not even really because we had still broken up like 100 times during
Yeah,
that time.
yeah.
So it's like, what is, you feel like a fraud, you know,
Like, what are we even celebrating?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Fucking more tears. Thank you.
Thank you. Next. Okay.
And so fucking February 14th last year, this motherfucker broke up with me. Like
Trash.
of course, you know, this wasn't the first time or anything.
Trash
but like
city.
what kind of person breaks up with their significant other when you know that like you guys are gonna get back together? Like it was one of those things.
And he was like, I hate to be doing this to you on Valentine. And you're like,
So
shut
funny.
the fuck up. Like, you're doing it. So don't
Yeah.
be like, oh, I hate to be doing this to you.
When
Like,
you know that we're gonna
know,
continue talking.
bitch, you know exactly what the fuck you're doing.
It's so
Like,
funny
don't
that
play
you brought that up
dumb.
though, because like I completely forgot that he said that.
I remember. Oh, I remember those screenshots.
Yeah. Actually, now that you
Trash.
say that, I remember that
Yeah.
too. But yeah. And guys, you know what? So listen, if it's a shitty fucking Valentine's Day for you, just picture yourself a year from now and how amazing your life is gonna be like me.
Thank you. Next, bitch. And we talk about that obviously on a more serious note, like with our guest Lisa, and we go into it. But yeah, I mean, I think there's this hype around Valentine's Day, and like if you don't have someone to spend it with, you're kind of sad, especially like with social media now. It's like definitely like
Everyone's-
rubbed in your face.
Everyone's posting the fucking stupid
Yeah.
romantic gestures that they're getting.
Yeah.
When, keep in mind, those people are probably like the most broken.
Sometimes.
It's like February
Sometimes.
13th. Like, why have you ruined my life?
Oh no, I was definitely at a phase with Tyler where I was like waiting for the and then I just had to accept that like he's not gonna put petal roses down a path into a
in a
lit up
heart-shaped-
candle dinner. Like that's not him. It's like I gotta stop expecting that from him, you know?
Yeah.
But it leads me to a funny story. This is classic Tyler, man. Okay, I think I've told you before, but you've probably forgotten. A few Valentine's days ago, actually quite a while now. I'm fucking old. I decided, I passed by Victoria's Secret and I was like, ooh, I'm gonna buy lingerie for myself because I had never, and you know, I felt like I wanted to. Like I wanted to like, you know, do something nice. And I don't know, I just had never done it for Tyler. So I go and buy like I spend like over $100 on
Definitely over
lingerie.
100.
Yeah, definitely easy 100. It was one set, but it was for sure over 100. I think I got the stockings. Like I went, yeah, whole
Doing
nine.
the most.
Whole nine. So I do that, and then like as my imagination starts going, I'm like, ooh, and I'll cook him dinner.
Like, let me buy some dildos.
And then I was like, I'll buy some. I'll buy some candles. And then I like bought steak and potatoes, and I was like, okay, I'm about to be a wife-ass bitch. Like, so I did.
Wait, there's more.
So I did the damn thing. I bought the lingerie, and at the time, like, I didn't have a good job. Like, spending over $100 on that was a stretch, but I justified it. Whatever. I make him this beautiful dinner, steak cooked to perfection, potatoes perfect, buy champagne, light the candles on our balcony. It's when I was living on the beach. And, you know, we're like, and that actually, this was at the time when I was still drinking. So I was like drinking champagne. We were drinking champagne together. He smoked a little. I made him this amazing dinner. And then I think I was going to clean up. And then I'm like, I put my lingerie on. I'm like ready to go. This man is snoring. Dead ass asleep. Dead.
Where?
In bed, in our bed, dead ass asleep. So obviously I'm like trying to wake him up. I'm like, come babe, come on, like it's Valentine's Day. I did all that work. I didn't even get piped. I fell asleep on the couch because I was so mad at him. He was dead to the world.
He wouldn't get up?
He was dead. I fed him well. I gave him champagne and he smoked. The man was out.
You did it a little too good.
He was out, and I was like, wow, I really did the most, and I'm not even getting piped down right now. Like, this is sad. And I like cried and slept on the couch.
Did he apologize?
Oh my
the
God,
next day?
he woke up and he felt so bad because he doesn't even remember falling asleep. You know, he was like, "You fed me and you got me drunk and you smoked me out. Like you did it backwards."
Yeah, that shit was on you, Liv.
We did it backwards, but
Should have woke him up.
No, the man was dead. I tried.
No, see,
he felt
this backhand can wake anyone up.
He felt so bad. He woke up at like 3 a.m. He's like, when I saw you on the couch, my heart broke. He was so sorry and so apologetic. And like, I got over it. But now it's just so funny because we look back and laugh. And I'm like, remember that time I really did the most and didn't even get laid on Valentine's Day?
Yo, so what the fuck was that suggestion that you made, Jess? Why would
What
you
about the dildos?
where did that come
I'm
from?
wondering what the comment about
like,
the dildos was.
Because she was like, now I thought, let's get frisky. Like, I don't know.
Are you like, I feel like she's insinuating that Tyler's gay.
It's like, I want to do something sexy. Buys dildos.
Buys a strap on.
Sex toys in general.
Hey, babe, I thought we'd try something new tonight.
I meant like sex toys.
But,
Dildos was the
yeah.
first thing that came to mind. It's my type of sex toy.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Really
Moving
going.
on. Sorry about that.
So yeah, that's just my funny Valentine's Day
Sponsored
story.
by many.
Right.
I'm kidding.
Oh.
And since then, we just don't try for Valentine's Day. Like, we spend the night together, and that's about it.
I don't know. I love the idea of Valentine's Day. Like, I definitely don't like. I will not go out and stuff. Like, even if if I have a significant other, I'm like, yo, like, let's just order in. Like, let's cook dinner.
I think it's about spending quality time together.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be this big, elaborate thing.
I don't believe in like gifts for Valentine's Day either. I think like that shit's weird. Like, yeah, maybe like a little like
token,
roses
gesture.
or whatever.
Yeah.
But definitely not like I don't fuck with like exchanging like whole ass gifts.
Yeah, like a diamond jewelry or watches.
I mean, if you got it
Hey,
like that,
yeah,
for sure.
live your truth.
I don't got it
We
like that.
we love it for you.
But
Yeah.
It's better that it's a personal thing than it's an expensive thing.
Yeah, it's about the gestures. It's about the thought. Like, you definitely shouldn't be mad if your partner isn't showing up with, like, spoiling you with all these gifts. Like,
yeah,
you don't need
love
that.
languages.
Yeah, love language is right.
And with that being said, we will go ahead and dive into this week's episode.
We will not hold you any longer. Hope you guys enjoy.
It's a good one.
Guys, we're here with Lisa. Thank you so much for joining us today.
So grateful to be here with you girls.
Yay, for our Valentine's Day special.
'Tis the season of love.
Yes, to be jolly and in love or not in love or in love with yourself.
There you go. The best love of all. That's the best one.
We'll discuss all things. So let's just get right into it. Kind of explain to the people who you are, what you do, and we'll start there.
Okay, perfect. So I'm Lisa Concepcion, as you heard in the intro, and I'm a love life strategist, coach, dating and relationship expert, and I'm a contributor also to popular websites like Bustle and Elite Daily.
Ooh.
Yeah, so I'm often
How
tapped.
fun.
Yeah, I know, it's super fun. And I, get asked a bunch of questions from different journalists and podcasters like you and, just people asking just what everybody wants to know about love and relationships. And so my sweet spot, my specialty is that I help type A driven, success-minded professionals who have it together when it comes to work and when it comes to their career, but for whatever reason, they can't figure out why they can't get it right when it comes to relationships. So they have dating issues, they have dating anxiety. If they're in relationships, they can't take it to the next level, they have fears. And so we get into why that is so we can help them thrive in relationships.
Yeah, because they're two totally different things, right? Like when it comes to your career and business, and then your love life could be total mess, and you would never know it.
Yeah, that was the case for me. I was married for 17 years, and I married my college sweetheart.
Okay.
And went along the path together of you're newlyweds, you're buying house, you advance in your careers, and yet there was a lack of self-fulfillment in the relationship prior to getting married. So it was one of those things where we were looking to get married because it was what you had to do by the time you were 30. And if you didn't do it, you felt like a loser, right? And so I didn't realize, though, of course, you don't know it at the time, that there's a whole lot of growing that you need to do and a lot of self actualization that has to happen in your 20s and things that you need to heal a bit for yourself before you can take on showing up as a wife for somebody.
And a life partner.
Exactly. Because
Yeah,
I mean, in my
absolutely.
marriage, I tell my ex-husband all the time, we're friends, dear family,
Oh,
we consider
good.
each other family. I tell him all the time, I'm like, that marriage, like I was probably 70% of it showing up like a 9-year-old. Because there were like a lot of hurt, wounded sides of me that I didn't really have the chance to nurture and soothe on my own. And
Right.
when you don't do that, then you bring that into the marriage and you're looking to your spouse to heal those things for you. And it's a recipe for disaster.
Yep, that's huge.
And
Yeah.
what got you into this line of work?
Great question. So, through this journey of my marriage, subsequent separation, and divorce, I hit a rock bottom of bottom. But through it, I was able to learn that I was a classic codependent. I was very into controlling the chaos of my life. It had to do a lot with just parenting and upbringing and the way I was raised and, programming that went in my mind
Right.
about love and just the models that I've had growing up. And I was able then from that place to work on myself, really wholeheartedly dig in there and ask the very profound question, what is it in me that got me here? Because this
Yeah.
is awful. And when I asked that magical question, it was as if the universe just opened up and the right coaches, the right programs, the right people all showed up. And I was able to dig in, commit fully to my healing, to really understanding how I operate in relationships and why. And when I went through what I call my 90-day post-divorce detox, I had a inspiration to codify it and to write down my whole journey, everything I did, all the teachings, everything I did. And I was public about it on social media.
Which is brave.
Which was, but I
Really
had to
brave.
do, it was funny. I was doing it from a position of accountability because part of my 90-day post-divorce detox process was all about not dating anyone, not going out past 10 p.m. on a weeknight,
Good
not
for
being
you.
out past like 1 a.m. on a weekend. Like it was a radical change.
Yeah, you set rules for
I
yourself.
set rules for myself and it was about nutrition and fitness and well-being and just super diving in on self-care. And when I came out the other side of that, I was no more codependency, totally knew how to love myself, understood why I was showing up in relationships the way I did, got to the root of it, had beautiful conversations with my parents, put a lot of stuff in nice little emotional boxes and put them away
Wow.
and made peace with myself. And, there was always an ongoing path now that you're on, I put myself on a spiritual path. Once you're on it, it's just, it lights up and all the teachers, all the right. So to answer your question, after I came out of that, I said, oh my God, I have to teach people how to heal and how to fully come into themselves so that then they can come into relationships very fulfilled within themselves first.
So cool.
That's
Yeah.
beautiful. I love that.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's something a lot of people obviously struggle with. One of the biggest challenges in life is relationships and love, and especially being in your early 20s, it's like, a lot of our listeners are just trying to figure it out with people because it's like you don't know how serious you should be taking things. You're in different places of your lives.
It's a very transitional period.
Yeah, yeah, and it's hard, I think, to meet someone who's also in a transition.
Yeah. I mean, what's interesting, like in your 20s, I often say to my clients who are, that age, because I do get them, that they're just so hell-bent on getting it all happening and together by 30. It's like this looming day of their 30th birthday. Like they put all this pressure on themselves to
That's so true.
have it all locked
Yeah.
up and settled and sorted. And I'm just like, wow, like I was that too. I remember being, 22, 24, 25 and being like, oh my God, if I'm not engaged and if I'm not, full on owning a house by the time
Right.
I'm this age, everything was very age driven. Timeline driven.
Right.
And what I found is it sets you up for this kind of hamster wheel existence where you're always chasing the next thing and you're not really asking yourself if you really truly want that to begin with.
Right.
But I feel like this generation, like your generation, you have access to so much amazing information. Like when I was 20, girl, there was no internet.
Right.
There's no internet,
Yeah.
right? That came on like 2001 was really
gosh.
where like it
You
was.
look amazing, by the way. I
thank you.
cannot believe it.
Sorry,
Because you're
sweet.
like healed and good inside.
She's glowing
like,
from the inside out.
radiating.
Wow.
Yeah.
Love it. I'm going to hang out with you girls all the time. So yeah, I always say to my younger clients, revel in your 20s, like really set some big goals and make your goals the thing that you can't get rattled by a dude if he's calling you or texting you or not, because you have such
Right.
big goals. You're like, bro, really? If you're going to call me, call me. If you're not, like I have 27 things I can be doing with my time.
Facts. So you
Heard
work
that.
at Jess is like, yes. So you work as a coach, which is different from a therapist.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
think it's really common, when people are going through issues in the relationship, it's very common to see a therapist, a relationship therapist. So I would like you to kind of explain, I guess, the difference between a coach and a therapist and like what your practice looks like with couples and people.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very interesting distinction. I had both. I had the luxury of doing couples coaching. Couples therapy when I was with my now ex-husband. I also did therapy on my own when I was in my 90-day detox. And then I also hired coaches. So I was able to understand both sides and see. So I can't really speak for every therapist because I think they all have their own different
Right.
modalities and ways of approaching it. But some of the complaints that I have gotten from people who have gone through therapy and then hire me are that the first thing, it's therapy tends to look at a lot of the past and keeps people in their past. And while it's great in that it diagnoses you, like in my case, it was a lot of discussion about how I was raised. And that's what helped my therapist ascertain that I was classic codependent. And then
Okay.
and then the thing is though, once I knew that I was classic codependent, I had to do the other work in that more the coaching work, meaning I had to decide where I wanted to go next now that I
How
have
we're
this
gonna
information.
move
Now that I know
forward.
that I'm classic codependent, I find sometimes people feel that therapy gives them a label and gives them a defined little box that they're in, but doesn't necessarily give them the tools to get out of it. So
Okay.
so a lot of people end up saying, I'm bipolar, I have depression, I have this, and they end up using that as a justification for their limitations, as opposed
Interesting.
to saying, okay, I'm a codependent, now what? Right? Because
Right.
that's what I did. I said
Right.
that to my therapist. I was like, all right, cool. So you said I'm codependent. Fantastic. Like,
Yeah.
what now?
Like one is I feel
What do
like
I do
maybe
with this info?
Right.
Yeah, like
one
where
is
do
about
where do I go to not be this?
one is about how you got there, and the other is about where you're gonna go.
Exactly.
Yeah, from that
Precisely.
point.
So for coaching, I would certainly ask questions about somebody's upbringing and past, but I approach it more from discovering the wounded prior versions of people who might still be running the show in different aspects of their life. So let's take the example of a relationship. Let's say I'm coaching a woman and she's 25 years old and she has a pattern of having relationships where she's attracting unavailable guys. And she has this pattern where she has sex too soon and thinks that she has to prove her value and worth through promiscuity or her body or whatever. And she gets over on her looks because she's gorgeous. So we explore all of that. Like, when was the first time that you realized that your looks can get you guys? When did you realize, and how was that received by your parents? Did you get in trouble for that? Was it celebrated? And then they reveal things about themselves where through that conversation and knowing what I'm listening for, I can put them back into certain situations in their lives that they were traumatized. And, in that case, drawing upon that example, it could be possible that the girl may have been abused or may have been made fun of because she developed before everybody else in school.
Okay.
So she is really operating in her relationships as a 13-year-old girl.
Right.
As opposed to a 25-year-old woman. So when I teach her then how to, in her 25-year-old self, go back to that 13-year-old version of herself and love her and care for her and nurture her and be like her best, biggest fan and sister and friend, then the magic happens. Then they integrate and she's no longer wrapped up in that trauma, and the 25-year-old version of herself can now proceed with how she knows she wants to proceed in relationships.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So interesting. I feel like trauma is a huge thing that can definitely, if it's not healed personally can get in the way of relationships and really affect, like, down to the details of arguments and of conversations.
So what would you recommend for, actually, I don't want to start with so.
And also be aware of,
Have I been saying that? I had no idea.
I know,
You know?
you know?
And what would you recommend for those, I don't know, I'm tired.
Do you want me to do it?
Yes, do
Okay,
it. I
I'll
can't,
do it, I'll
my
do
brain's
it.
not working.
So I think a big theme in, like, maybe our generation, but I think also in general, like, I think there's this theme of, everyone kind of wants a partner. Everyone kind of wants something more serious. And those who are just casually dating tend to want something more serious. Again, I don't want to generalize, but I think it is a common theme that everyone's pushing for this more serious, involved, deeper level relationship that could be considered maybe a future marriage or something along the lines of that, or to start a family with. So for those people, those individuals who do want a serious relationship but feel like time after time again they can't get there, or they're having issues, or
They're not attracting the right people.
yeah,
or-
for some reason it's just not working out. What do you feel like? I know that's kind of a hard question because it's going to be different for everyone.
I got you. Don't worry.
Yeah, but what are some, like, tips
I'm following
people
it.
can do, or, like, don'ts for mistakes people should avoid? Like, what would your advice be for that?
So, okay, super important that when you're really serious and you're like, all right, I want a serious relationship. I'm done with the BS.
Bullshit with the
right? I'm done
games.
with the games. I'm done, right? So it's really super important to understand what a serious relationship looks like for you. And the best way to start that exploration is looking at your life in general, meaning, what am I going for? What's important to me? My friendships, my family, my goals. You girls, for example, you have a podcast. You have other things going on in your life. Very busy, right? Ready to roll. Have a clear a definition in your mind of where I am going in my life. And so what I encourage people to do is have goals so big that nothing, no one, nothing can disrupt them. Nothing can interfere with them, nothing, because you're just so excited about these meaty, juicy goals that you're going for,
Right.
that's going to serve as your foundation to keep you straight and solid, so that when that person comes, you know the kind of person they need to be to fit into your fabulous life. So we have a lot of people dating from lack and scarcity, where they might look at their lives and they're like, I don't really have good friendships, and all I do is work. And I would love to have a relationship because that would pull me out of always working all the time, and that would give me a social life. And so they're leaning now on the relationship to fulfill and provide them with the things that they're lacking. So we need to flip that, and we need to say, if I want a serious relationship, I need to get serious about my life. What do I want to live like? Who am I being? What kind of person am I designing, choosing to be?
Right.
And then that becomes the
huge.
person that you're bringing to another person. So it's like, wow, like, you never see that meme and that expression, like, what do you bring to the table? I bring the table to the table.
Oh, I love that. That's good.
Right? So you want to really look at it like, I'm not afraid to eat alone, right? Because I'm the table. I
Right.
bring a lot. So for a person to be choosing and very judicious about who they're involving in their life, it's a very important thing, especially when you're considering a serious relationship. If you're dating casually and you're just like, look, I'm going to take a year and have fun and just mix it up,
Right.
and that's cool.
Right,
Like,
right.
dabble, I look at it like a buffet, right? You're going to decide on what you want to eat. You want to taste a bunch of different things and figure out what you like and what you don't.
Go for it, girl,
Exactly. But when it comes point where you're like, okay, you know what? I've been doing this dating thing for a while.
Yeah.
I really want just like that one person, somebody that I can grow with. And, it's like, okay, well, let's do it. Let's look at my life. Let's look at what I'm going for. Because that person that's going to be by your side, they're very influential if you think about it, right? If you're rolling with some guy, some girl, they're the first person you're talking to about your day. Something bad happens, they're the first person you're going to come to for advice. So you want to know, like, am I going to get the right advice, or am I going to get somebody that's like, yeah, here, have a drink?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
oh, you had a bad day at work? I'll make you a cocktail. And then you're like,
Right.
wait, do I have like this drinking habit happening with my significant other now? Where,
Right.
like, that's not what I want to have in my life, So it's important, to really factor in, like, where are you going in your own life?
Right.
And who do you want beside you?
And once these people get clear on their goals and clear on, what they want, how do they start attracting those types of people? And I know, like, oftentimes when you aspire to be the best version of yourself, you kind of attract that energy naturally.
Naturally.
But, for someone who maybe is on dating profiles or something like that, like, how do you recommend that they start attracting these people into their lives?
Perfect question. So when it comes to dating apps, and you nailed it when you said energy is everything, right? So when you pick up your phone and you are frustrated and you're angry or you're like, dating sucks, there's nobody good out there. And then you reach for your phone and you go on Bumble, probably going to attract not such good things, right? But when you are clear that you're curious and fun and you're like, I'm just going to go on this dating app and see what's what. And no attachment to
Right.
the outcome, right? Then you're like having fun. Then you're like, oh, this guy looks nice. And look at this guy's with his dog. And, you start to look at it as this is just a tool. This is just a convenient way of streamlining the meeting process. I can do this from my sofa.
Right.
I don't need to be like prettied up and out and whatever. And it really opens up the space of attracting people, not just on the weekends, not just when you're out with friends. And, the dating apps, when approached from a place of positivity and a place of really clearing your own energy and being mindful of the energy you're bringing to it, can garner some really good results.
Oh, yeah.
For sure. And then, it's also getting clear to have like a dating strategy. It's really important to have a clear dating strategy.
Ooh, okay. Tell us
That
a
was my
little
next
about that.
question.
Really, really important. So like a lot of people, they'll go on a dating app and then they'll end up back and forth in the app texting people to oblivion. And then the girl is like, well, why doesn't he ask me out? So, there are ways, which I teach through a dating with power and purpose program that I have where
There's about to be some pro tips.
yeah, there's some
which
tips.
we
there's
have to
some
do.
tips where we outline, in that situation where you're developing rapport and you're like, wow, this guy is cool. I like him. Like we've been texting and it's going back and forth nice. How do I get that to like get him to ask me out?
Next
Like, what do I do
level,
next?
right.
Right. So I think there's a lot of misinformation out there and a lot of false programming about how the women should sit back and let the guy ask her out.
Hell yeah.
In this modern day with Me Too and all this, guys are so trepidatious now about like being aggressive and asking a girl out. Like they want to know for sure. One, they're afraid of rejection, and two, they want to know like it's cool, like we're vibing. They want to really, really know that it's really the
Right.
right deal. So what I always encourage girls to do is be super complimentary to the guy and say something like, so this is going really well. You're cracking me up in text. We're on this app and you're making me laugh. I can imagine what your voice must sound like. We should
Like kind of lead them to it.
And just, would you be interested in having a phone date with me? It's just
phone
cute.
date.
It's just cute.
Like,
Like
or FaceTime even.
or FaceTime's
Yeah.
even better because then you can check out how he's living, right? You can
true.
have, and that's where like your dating strategy and getting clarity on the kind of person you want comes into play. Because, let's say you do the FaceTime little phone date thing and you just kind of see like how he's living and it's like this guy's kind of a mess and
yeah.
he's got like 5 people behind him, he's got no privacy,
why waste
he's
your
with
time?
roommates, he's kind of looks like he's stoned, right? Like
Yeah.
you can kind of tell a lot
Yeah.
about a person by a FaceTime. And it's really helpful because
Yeah.
you really see their energy. You get a sense of who
True.
they are. The thing that I just get really specific about with my clients, especially because they're looking for high quality people, is to have some very clear, again, the dating strategy. Have a boundary. If you're going to be on a FaceTime, half hour, no more. None of this
Right.
3-hour
Yeah.
chit chatty thing.
True.
Because you want to give them something more. You want to make it now turn into a date.
Right.
You don't want to,
the appetizer.
honey. It's the trailer. It's not the movie, right? You want them to binge you. You want them to binge watch you, right? You don't want them to be like, oh, I got it all on one call.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
I think girls need to not be scared to shoot their shot.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I know
Totally.
Jess and I have talked about this before, and she's like, yeah, when I see a cute guy, I'll definitely go over and talk to him. I don't think I don't know. I think when you put yourself out there, like you'll get rewarded. And of course, you have to accept the fear of rejection, but like it happens. I don't know.
And when you do that, you start to have more empathy and compassion for guys because when
How hard it is.
right? Because when you go
Yeah.
up to a cute guy and he's flattered and he's like, "I'm really flattered, but I have a girlfriend,"
Right.
you're like, "Oh my god,
"Oh."
lucky girl!" Like high fives to her. All right, peace
Right,
out.
exactly.
You know, it's like helps you be like empathic. You're just like,
Yeah.
wow, like the next time a guy hits on me, I'm not going to be bitchy.
They have
Yeah.
it tough. We're
They do.
so mean to guys. But
My
most of
God.
the time, the guys who approach us are like middle-aged men, and we're like, fuck off.
Yeah, like you
So,
can just tell that they're being
you
creepy.
know, if-
Yeah, I mean, and this is in Miami, right? So
Oh,
let me
yeah.
tell you, you have
So-
like the land of the 50-year-olds trying to like.
Oh yeah.
Get a
Yeah.
sugar baby.
Oh.
But when you're out there and you're out and about and you see a cute guy and you want to just be like, hey, you know, there are ways to be feminine and flirty and subtle
and not
about
seem
that.
like you're desperate.
And not to seem desperate and thirsty. And guys love it, actually. They think it's really refreshing when a lovely, I mean, you're both gorgeous. And, you know, you come up to a
Thanks.
guy and be like, hey, excuse me, could I go in here and grab a napkin real quick? And they're like,
It breaks the ice,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, you give them the
You
opportunity.
give them the opportunity, and then you turn around and be like, "So who's winning?" If there's a TV,
Right.
like a sports thing that he's looking at on the TV,
you
oh,
just start a conversation.
just random start a conversation.
Yeah.
I
You'll-
love that.
What will you usually do if like you saw a guy?
I mean, like I'm 100% like I just go open like the door essentially, like, and I allow them to either walk through it or close it. You know?
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
I'll just pose myself in like an open manner, kind of like I'll go up to them, like be in the same area as them, or like order a drink near them, or whatever it may be, or.
I think breaking the ice is the hardest part, really. So if you do that for them, like
Yeah, and I mean, like I have no problem like actually going up to someone and like
being like,
either,
"Hey,
like-
you're cute."
no, I won't do that. But like introducing myself, you know. But my next question is that like for these people who do prestige past the phone or FaceTime calls, and they get to be on physical one-on-one dates. Do you have any recommendations or rules for your clients that they can kind of go by for these first and second, third dates?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's really getting clear on what you want and how you roll, and having your own boundaries and your own. Everybody has their own thing, right? I mean, as far as a first date, the conversation, you should just be really targeted on what it is you want to know about this person. And really, it goes back to what you value. So let's say you're, 24 years old, 25 years old, 26 years old, and you have it in your head that you're like, dude, I want to be married by the time I'm 30. And like, if this is going to be a 4-year relationship, like, I want to know what's up. So, it's about asking questions based on what it is that you want. And you can then ascertain if they are on the same page. And one of the questions that I love to have people ask and encourage them to ask are very open-ended questions that invite people to open up. So the one question is, and I wrote a blog on my website, people can check it out. I don't know if you'll have like show notes and stuff.
We'll
put
plug
it in
all
there.
your stuff
All right,
after.
cool. So, and there are 20 of them, 20 great questions to ask on a date. The one is,
That's awesome.
the one that I always open the door with, and it's the one I opened the door with my boyfriend, was, so tell me about yourself. What do you like to do for fun? Right? So when you ask that question, it's a little like neuro-linguistic programming. You're putting someone in a state of fun immediately.
Right.
So they equate you with fun.
Right.
So a lot of people ask, like, so what do you do? Meaning they're going to go to work. You don't want to put somebody at
Right.
work.
Oh,
You'll-
that's
right? You don't
true.
want to put them at work. What if they had a
Yeah.
bad day at work and now you're like, so tell me about yourself. What do you do?
Well, what
Oh,
if
great.
they hate their job?
What if they hate their job?
Yeah.
Right?
And then
So you
there's
don't know.
already a negative energy off the bat.
But when you come at somebody and you're saying, so tell me about yourself, what do you like to do for fun? It's a pattern interrupt. It makes you unique. Not a lot of people are asking that.
Right.
But it opens them up to really talk freely about themselves from a place of fun.
Of joy.
passion.
And joy and passion. And if they don't have a fun life, you're going to know
You'll
it.
know real
You're gonna know it.
quick.
Right?
They're like, I work, and you're like,
yes.
They're like, "Oh, fun. What's that?"
And that one question could
You're like,
glean.
"Goodbye."
That one question can glean so much.
Wow,
let's
that's
say
true.
let's say, for the purposes of your listeners, the guy is 32 years old, you're 26, you meet him out, cute, and you ask him, so tell me about yourself. What do you do for fun? And he says, wow, that's a great question. I'm having fun tonight. And I don't know the last time it was that I had fun. I have like 2 kids under the age of 10 and they keep me busy. So I have fun with them.
They keep me busy.
Right? They keep me busy. And then you're just like, okay, I'm 26 and you're 32 and you have 2 kids under the age of 10. Well, it was so nice meeting you.
Right.
And your babies are beautiful.
Peace.
He's like going through his like slideshow
Yeah.
on his phone of his
You're like,
kids.
oh, she's darling.
Darling.
Isn't she precious?
So quick little pro tip. How do you suggest someone getting out of a horrible date? Say that
Ooh,
does
I love
happen.
this. I love this. I love this. I love this. So, you always want to be gracious. You always want to be kind.
Oh my God.
You always want
You
to be
just leave dinner?
You
Like,
wanna
what do
be
you do?
super nice. But like, so here's the deal.
Or do
This
you
is
stick it out?
well, this is why the phone date is
It's
so
better.
key.
Yeah, for the first thing.
Because you can get a lot of information, important information prior to. Because listen, beauty takes time, girls. To get all zhuzhed up for a date.
Oh, yeah. Right.
It's clearly
You
an
don't
hour. I
wanna
mean,
waste
an hour
your-
and a half.
Waste
at
your
least.
makeup, waste your time, waste your gas,
Even
Yes.
going somewhere,
The
like even
Uber,
I can't even afford
energy.
that time.
waste your energy.
Right. So you want to know going in. I
There's
did some I
potential.
did my recon. I have some
Right.
recon work done. I know this guy has a good vibe. I know he has a good sense of humor. We were on a FaceTime together for a half hour. I wanted more. I could tell he wanted more, so that made a date happen.
Right.
And then on the date, it's bigger, different, more deeper questions. And when it's kind of not a fit, there's nothing wrong with being like, listen, so I'm feeling like a friend vibe a little bit between us. Yeah. I'm feeling a little bit like I'm feeling more of like a
Pulling the
friend vibe
friend card.
between us. And having
Jess has like been
yeah,
there.
she's like been
Oh
there,
yeah,
right?
absolutely.
And it's like, look, your girl out there for sure, my guy out there for sure. I say we finish this meal, we hang as friends, and we help each other put some love and light in the world. What do you think? Like, you found a friend in me no matter what.
Aw.
So it's all
yeah,
good.
let him down easy.
Super polite and nice,
Yeah.
but like, I'm not a fan of that rude, like bouncing or going to the bathroom and being like,
Yeah.
my friend just called and she has a
Yeah.
flat tire
Have
and I
some
have
balls.
totally like be gracious, be really classy about it.
Yeah.
And be totally friendly and cool. Like
Yeah.
especially now with social media and how people are
Keep
so
in touch.
just you never know you're gonna see this guy out.
Right.
Again, you don't want to ever be the girl that a guy is like hiding from out in public. Like,
Yeah.
he's out with another girl and he sees you 6 months later and he's like, oh, that's that psycho chick that like left me high and dry in the middle of a restaurant. Like, you never want to be that girl.
That's so
Also,
mean.
I mean, like, the worst thing that can happen is that they're a total fucking asshole about it. And if they're an asshole about it, then, like, they just
True.
showed you their character. And imagine
and
how they would
then-
act, like, down the line. So, like,
Right.
you really just you should almost leave every guy and see how they react.
You should test them, honestly.
It's a test, ladies.
It's a test.
Yeah, and that's interesting because we are what we attract. So
Yeah.
so when we approach it that way, we're like, whoa, like this guy took a turn. Like I attracted the guy who couldn't handle his booze on a date.
Oof. Yeah.
I attracted that guy. So
Ugh.
like
There's nothing worse.
so what does that mean? Okay, I'm attracting an irresponsible person who can't protect me and be a gentleman. Okay, so what does this mean about me? Where am I not disciplined in my life? Where am I showing up for myself, not being safe and disciplined and protected and whatever of myself, right? So when you make it about that, then you're empowered. And then you're like, thanks, dude. Thanks for being such an asshole on this date.
Right.
You just gave me a whole week of like journaling I need to do on myself.
Right.
Like I can up level now because I realize what is it in me that brought me this? What is
Yeah,
it in me that
facts.
brought me this shit show? So then there's a lot of women out there, with all fairness, where they're fixers. They're givers and
yeah.
they're fixers. And typically, fixers and givers attract broken people. It's like you're a magnet for each other. So, yeah, this is like codependency, narcissism dynamic, right? So
Yeah,
people who are super
absolutely.
givers, the universal law of polarity will make it so that universal law says, if I'm a giver, I'm probably going to get a taker. So it's okay
Yep.
to give. It's okay, ladies out there. Like, it's good to be a giver. It's good to be nurturing. That's feminine. It's wonderful. But never at the expense of yourself.
You have to set
the key.
boundaries for yourself.
Preaching.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's the
Can't
key.
pour out of empty cup, right?
Yeah.
We
Exactly.
always say that.
Yep.
So for those who are in a relationship, and this is huge. I mean, like breakups suck. Being in a relationship that you are unhappy and sucks, and it's really hard to get advice at that point because like no one's in your position, no one understands
The
the
dynamic.
dynamics of your relationship. So like even getting advice from friends is like doesn't do shit. So what would you recommend for people who are in a serious relationship but they're unhappy, or they don't know if it's going to get to that next level, or for some reason they're just not feeling the spark anymore?
Yeah, like, I mean, and this could speak to people who are in a relationship and everything's going well, but maybe they're just like, there's something feels off and they're just like, a part of it is unfulfilled. And like, they don't want to hurt the person that they love, but, they really don't know how to navigate it.
So in that situation, which is super common, communication is everything in a relationship from the very, very beginning, right? So how you set the tone in the first 90 days of a relationship is pretty much going to be how you both handle harder things, more difficult, as the relationship evolves.
Right.
So it's really important to establish that from the very beginning, an open, honest, loving, kind, no judgment. Like this is a team, a partnership. If you're not right, I'm not right kind of deal. Like I want you to not suffer. I want you to be thriving and joyous in your life. And I'm not here to fix you or complete you, but I'm here to support you as you're growing and figuring
Right.
stuff out.
Yeah.
And so when people are in relationships where they run into patterns where the communication is not what it was or there's a disconnect, there's never a time but the present to call them out on it and really say, you know what? I love you so much. Know that this is coming with love. I just noticed like we've been a little off lately. Have you noticed? And then maybe they'll be like, no, why? Like, what do you think? Or I have something that I want to chat with you about. And it's about, our life and what we're building and what we're creating
Right.
together.
Just being
and we want to
transparent.
be on the same page. And this is why, like, checking in with each other on a weekly basis. And again, like I work with a lot of, coaching clients I have, they're incredibly high drive. They're very like, going for promotions at work, really into success mindset. And so they're very familiar with setting goals for themselves. Like they'll have a journal for the week and they'll be like, hey, this week I'm going to slay it at this. I have these meetings. This is what I'm going to do. So there's a way to apply that to relationships as well. And so that the couple, let's say, Sunday night, if you're together and you're living together, cool. If you're a couple, whatever, jump on a phone chat. Baby, what do you got cooking this week? What do you got going on this week?
Schedule that time.
What do you got
for
going on?
connection.
Yeah, what do you got going on this week? With what, babe? With anything, work, family. Like, what's your world about this week? And then they'll be like, wow, thanks for asking. So my pain in the ass mother wants me to come over for dinner. I have to do some laundry. I haven't done laundry in 3 weeks. Or, whatever their thing is. And then you follow up with like, all right, cool. So like, how can I support you best this week to make sure you get everything done that you need to do?
I love that.
And he'll be like, well, I really want to hang out with my brother on Thursday night. We're going to go watch the Heat game. We're just going to be us boys chilling. All right, cool. So then like, all right, I know this week, Thursday's not cool for him. This is what he's got going on. I have these things going on. So it lays the foundation and the expectation. And when you communicate like that, you can say to him, all right, cool. So here's what I'm working on this week. Oh my God, I'm having this review at work and I'm freaking out about it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right, babe. That's coming up this week. I thought it was next. Oh, good thing you told me. When is it? Thursday. So
You need that like
Wednesday
constant.
night, he's going to be like, listen, good luck tomorrow.
Right.
You're going to be in each other's worlds. You're going to be a team for real.
I like that.
So this way you're always connected. There's none of this like living in a own little separate silo from one another. And it's not to say that you're all dysfunctional and up in each other's shit and there's no space.
Right.
But that it's a way to get space. Because what happens is a lot of people don't communicate and then they're trying to read each other's minds.
Oh, yeah.
And it's terrible.
I think that's huge.
And then they're projecting stuff on each other. And just a simple conversation on a Sunday night about like, what's your week like, can open up the door for so much closeness and getting the space that you need. If you're like, listen, Wednesday night, forevermore till eternity is going to be my girls' night.
Right.
I
And,
need
like,
it.
don't
I
fuck
need
with
it. I
that.
go to yoga, whatever your thing is, right? You're going to
Right.
have your time. And that's it. And it's good to have that. It's really good to have that.
You need that.
You really need it.
You need your own
Your own
hobbies.
thing going
Yeah.
on for sure. You need your own thing going on. And I see a lot of girls that they end up having it where their life becomes work and their boyfriend. And then they forget their friends, and then they get broken up with, and then they have nothing.
And they have no friends to cry to.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
that is
You need
actually
that support.
that's a common thing that I saw growing up, I think, is like when a girl gets totally immersed and lost, and then the friends are just, you never see them again. And then the friends kind of get salty because they're like, okay, cool, like, peace.
Oh, no. I mean, I've definitely separated myself from people who every time, and actually it happens a lot with my guy friends. Like, I'll have guy friends, and every time they get a girlfriend, I get left behind. And it's, it's either because, the girlfriend is weird about how close we are, or, that we talk all the time. And like, I've had to cut off a lot of my guy friends because it's like every time they're out of that relationship, I get that text and it's like, hey, let's catch up soon, miss you. And I'm like, nah, fuck you. Like, every time you've had a girlfriend, you've done this. And like friends that like I've now mended relationships with, like after I pointed out like this pattern, like we were able to fix it. And I was like, listen, like if your significant other is not allowing you to have these friendships,
Then they're not the one.
then they're not the one.
Well,
Like,
they need to trust you.
exactly. And I was like, and it's so funny because it's like every time that they do end up like blocking me or unfollowing me or stop talking to me, it's like I know that relationship isn't gonna
Never
last
gonna
very
last.
long.
Right.
And so I feel
Like,
like
you're
that's,
looking for the girl that's gonna be like out of nowhere, like, hey girl, so I'm dating your boy. He seems cool. I have some questions. You want to grab coffee?
yeah,
'Cause that's what I would play it as. That's a tip for girls.
yeah.
Like, if you're a girl and you're listening to this and you have a boyfriend with a really solid crew of girlfriends, befriend those girlfriends and get some data. For
Yeah.
real.
Facts.
Be like,
bring them on
listen,
your side.
Seriously, you want to be like the rah rah, we love you. You want to
Right.
be like, no, this girl is one of us. She's awesome. And not to say that your loyalties wouldn't still be to your guy friend, but now it's like they're a couple. Like, I like her. She's cool. I dig
Right.
her for him.
Get in
as
with
opposed
them.
to like being negative and coming off negative. I mean, look, if you're listening to this and you end up with a dude and he has some cool girlfriends in his crew, befriend those girls.
Because then they're going to be in
Befriend
his
them.
ear like, we love her.
Yeah.
She's so
Yes.
cool.
And
you can't break up with her. We love her.
Exactly.
Yes, and
Yes,
not
bitch.
in like a manipulative way, but for real. Just be like, look, I care about you, so I care about your world. I want to know everybody in your world. I'm cool.
And don't be threatened by them.
Well, that's the key. The
Yeah.
key is having that confidence. The key is handling whatever exists in you from the past that's bringing in that kind of negativity and that energy.
And
There could be, there's
jealousy.
something, look,
Insecurities.
whatever triggers you is an opportunity to heal.
Absolutely.
Facts.
Love that.
Preaching to the choir. What do you feel like? You're good?
Yeah.
Okay. What do you feel like the most common reasons why a relationship isn't working? Typically, since you
typically.
do see so many people who are
Yeah.
unhappy in relationships.
People who are not on the same page with their goals. They don't know what they're.
That's
they don't know
massive.
what they're together for. Like, what are we doing?
Right.
We're Netflix and chill. We're not. What do we? What's the end game here? Like, what are we doing?
Right.
What's the
Yeah.
point? Are we? It should be. Here's what I have going on. Here's what you have going on. What are we creating together? And when they don't have that, then it's this nebulous relationship where you're just hanging out to hang out.
Right.
Yeah.
And then
because
one
it's better
person,
than
right,
being
and then-
alone.
right. And it never is. Like,
Right.
I have this, expression, bless my grandma in the great beyond, but she always said, Lisa, with a Spanish accent, ay Lisa, better alone than in bad company. 100%. Right? 100%. How many people can identify with that time in your relationship where you're, again, sitting at home watching movies, again, quiet, flicking through your phone while you're watching yet another, I don't know, Fast and Furious 27, whatever your deal is, right?
27.
And you're sitting there and you're like, wow, we haven't had like a conversation. Like, we're just chilling. We're straight and it's
Yeah.
nice. But there needs to be more.
But also,
there needs to be
yeah,
more.
there needs to be even.
So there's that. There's
yeah.
complacency in relationships.
Yeah, that's huge.
That's
You just don't
huge.
know what's like missing, essentially.
You don't know what's missing, but something is. Again, we said it before, lack of communication. And then people coming to relationships with their own shit from prior, past life, what have you,
Yeah.
and expecting the other person to fix it and soothe it and heal it.
Yeah, something we preach is like you need to be happy with yourself before anyone else can be happy with you. Like you need to be coming together to create a happier situation than trying to find happiness in each other because
Yeah.
it will be the end of the relationship. Like it just
Yeah,
will
and you
not
could
work.
like own your shit and be like, listen, so here's the deal.
Here's my baggage.
Here's my shit. Listen,
my
this is what
traumas.
this is what I'm sensitive about that I'm working on.
Yeah.
Here's the deal.
Absolutely.
I'm sensitive about when some hot chick walks in a restaurant and like you look at her because I had that happen in a relationship and the guy ended up dumping me
her.
for the chick who was who was making my drinks.
Right. So now I'm traumatized.
So now I'm a little traumatized.
Right.
I'm working on it though. So just please know that if you're going to be with your boys and check out chicks, wonderful. But if you're in my company, I'm going to be sensitive about that.
Yeah.
For sure.
And
And
respect
own your
that.
sensitivity and that's it. And be like, look, it's vulnerable. It's laying it down and coming at it from a place of, I know that this is a limitation and I'm working on it.
Yeah, because what more can you ask for from someone?
Right.
Like you own up to it and you say you're working on it. That's all you could ask of a partner.
And
or
then you
anyone.
commit to it and you actually do
And you
work
actually
on
work on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like what you said about like, you know, not being complacent in a relationship. So I recently got engaged. And-
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Look at
So we've
that.
been together going on 8 years now. And it's interesting because the other night I realized that I was doing this, but like we'll go out to dinner. It won't be a date. We're just, you know, going to eat dinner.
It's always
but,
a date.
True. But we're like in sweatpants at the sushi restaurant. But I still like to this day ask him just random questions. Like you would think we'd know everything about each other by now, but like I'll just be sitting there, we'll wait for appetizers, and I like will ask him a really deep question about his childhood out of nowhere.
Amazing.
And like he's always up for it, you know, and I do end up learning things that I had never known about him. It's so interesting. And
love that.
and it really comes from a place of boredom, and we refuse to be on our phones while we're like
Good,
together
good,
and having that
important.
time together. So I kind of just am bored and I try to fill the space and I ask these questions that I'm curious about and I don't even know where I like channel them. I'm
Good.
As I'm saying them,
She's
I'm like
coming from
where-
the spirit.
I'm like, where did this question come from? That's such a good question. But yeah, I'm still learning about stuff. So I think it's important to like keep that curiosity about each other, you know?
Yeah, for sure. And as you grow and evolve and change, the answers to those questions will grow
Will
and evolve and
change.
change. So it's
Yeah,
as if you're
truly.
always rediscovering each other
Yeah.
as you grow together.
I found a great quote of like this couple who had been together for like 100 years. Some bullshit. You guys know what I mean. And
Married 50 years.
and they
on Facebook.
asked some type of shit. It was like a photo, you know, it's
Yeah.
a cheesy photo, been shared fucking 100,000 times. But it was like they asked this old dude, or you know, this guy, who what's the secret to love? And he was like, they were like, how did you keep your love alive? And he's like, I loved her. He's like, I've been in love with like 7 different people in this one woman because she
Yes.
continued to change and try
Beautiful.
instead of trying to, you know, keep her as that first person I fell in love with. I loved her as every person. Like I've loved a rock climber, I've loved a painter, I've loved this, I've loved that. And I thought that was so beautiful
That's
because
I love
love
that.
isn't about, you know, containing someone as, you know, what your idea of them is. It's about loving them as
Every
they grow
stage.
in every stage. And
Even in their shit pit, even
Yeah.
as they're
Exactly.
trying to, because look, we attract the perfect person to push our buttons to help us grow. It's exactly what it is. It's like, so the thing that you're most upset about in your partner is the thing that you have the opportunity to heal. So in it, it's
Video
and
games.
so it's like, thank you for doing this thing for me that set me off into a rage because I realized this is the version of me that's poked at. It's not, look, I'm not arguing with you. Me you love.
Yeah.
Me at 9, we're hitting it.
Yeah.
I'm coming at you like a 9-year-old right now
Yeah.
for these reasons. And then they could be there for you and support that in you. But, you know, you don't know what you don't know, right? So
Thank you for playing video games, Tyler. Because it really pisses me off.
given that, you know, someone, because, you know, it takes 2 to tango. So someone might be coming to you and they're like, hey, I'm hopeless in this relationship. I don't know what to do. But do you feel like they're able to like kind of put these practices in if it's like the other person that's a problem,
Good point.
essentially?
oh, wow, I
Well,
love this. So typically,
Hear from the
when-
expert.
I'm like, well, so typically, someone will come to me and they'll have an issue in their relationship, just like you described it. And then I give them the good news where it's like, all right, well, how do you want to roll? Do you want the other person to coach with you, or are you just going to go for this by yourself and then try to like move energy? And they're like, I can do that. And I'm like, hell yeah, girl, you could move energy for sure. And they're like, how? And it's like, well, as you do this work with you, you're going to evolve and change. And so the person that you're showing up as in the relationship will change. And that will force or evoke, better word, evoke a different version of your partner. So this is where it gets cool. You work on you, you take responsibility for you, can't change them. not your job, right?
Right. Yeah.
But you start doing you and you start reacting to them differently.
Mm-hmm.
So the stuff that would normally like
Piss you
piss
off.
you off,
Yeah.
you're seeing it as, oh, that's a trigger. I'm handling that here on my own. He's going to do it again. You're not going to get pissed off anymore. You're going to come at him different, and that's going to
Right.
evoke a different him. So it all is. So it's very important. Like we all have the ability to choose the energy that we want to vibe at
Right.
predominantly.
Right.
And a lot of the work that I do, and this is where it gets a little heavy because I do a lot of like quantum realm stuff with like quantum physics and like
Cool.
understanding people's energy and
Ooh.
energetic vibrational
Cool.
frequency, law of polarity, universal laws, law of attraction, law of vibration, all this fun stuff. And when you study that, then you're like very powerful. You feel like super
Right,
powerful. You
right.
can empower your clients and be like, dude, like, do you want to never have this argument with your man again? Okay, let's talk about it. And then
Right.
boom, after one session, she's like, I literally never had this argument. Like he came at me that way. I came at him with my like Wonder Woman bracelets of energy that you taught me.
Right.
And it was literally like, I heard this in my coaching session. I knew this was going to happen. And I
Right.
did exactly what we talked about. Different man,
Very
different
cool.
person.
Well, yeah, because it does take two to tango.
It
and
does.
it is 50-50. And, you know, the things that you're getting mad at, again, reflect on yourself. Why are you getting mad at it? You can choose to not get mad at it.
And it's also asking the question, like if they're being a certain way, you're knowing that that's not them. That's a version of them that's acting out.
It's very true because I feel like a lot of girls, you know, they end up breaking it off and then they see this man with another girl super happy and he's treating her amazing. And then they're like, why couldn't he just treat me like that? And it's just because like you weren't evoking that version of him,
Yeah, right.
essentially.
Yes. Yeah. And it's a smack in your ass when you see it. Let me tell you
Yeah.
when that happens.
Yeah.
But, you know, you're just like, well, you know, now I know better. I can do better. That's all. And so
yeah.
there'll be a new guy for me, that means, and I'll give that to him.
Right.
All
Everything
good.
happens for a reason.
Yeah.
And when these people do come to you and they're trying to mend their relationship, and let's say that it's them, like they're coming and they're saying, I want to do this, you know, I'm going to do it solo dolo. Hopefully I can, you know, kind of maneuver things, help things change. And, you know, they come with their, you know, quote unquote Wonder Woman bracelets, but it's really that person that maybe like just isn't showing up the right way in the relationship. When do you recommend it's a good time for your clients to either, you know, keep fighting or to walk away?
So there are definitely key things that I listen for. I never really try to like make the decisions for anybody,
Right,
right?
of
It's
course.
everybody's on their own journey and they have to see it through in their own way. But you know, obviously if there's anything emotional abuse,
Yeah.
physical abuse, certainly.
Yeah.
Anything that's just making you not feel well, you know, your well-being is at stake, then it's time to really evaluate and be like, you know what, this is not making me feel like my truest best self. And I don't like the person I am in this relationship. Then
True.
that's where you start to say things like that. Then it becomes, we have to shift this or I got to bounce.
Yeah, I think that's a really hard place to be in, and I know it's really common, and I've been there, and you've been there, and it's like knowing when to grit it out and be like, okay, relationships are hard, like it'll make us stronger,
Part of
like
the
when to
process.
grit and when to quit and walk away and see
Yeah.
that it's like only being destructive at this point.
Right, right. And
It's
you know,
tough.
there's again, it all goes back to the vision of the relationship, vision for yourselves as individuals and communicating on what that is. And when you have that, then it avoids a lot of that hard stuff. But sometimes, you know, life happens, you know.
Right.
I had a couple where they were amazing, going along amazing, and then his mom died. And they were married a good decade, little under a decade, and it just it churned up a lot of stuff from his
Wow.
childhood. It
Oof.
churned up a lot of unsolved stuff,
Wow.
unresolved things, and it you know, led to a different path in the relationship. There was a little substance abuse going on. It was like, it was rough because these are like,
Right.
you know, these are people that they're very
Been
successful
together.
and they've been together. They have you know
Yeah.
young children together, and it was, you know, an unfortunate decision, a turn that he did. You know, a betrayal happened, and it was just, where do you go from here? And I asked her, you know, are you coming at me, I need to know how to exit this, or are you coming at me from, I want to try to forgive him and put it together again, and we need to make that decision. And and I'll help you get to that decision, but it's your decision to make.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And and these things, like things like that happen in life. And so it's really important to always have that foundation of love and respect and I got you. And this way, an environment where you can come with no judgment and just talk about, listen, here's what's up. My mom died and like all this stuff's coming up for me. And
Right.
baby, like
Acknowledging it.
I'm roughed up. I'm roughed up from it. So you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
if the environment isn't conducive to that, perhaps, and she admitted it, she's like, I didn't create an environment for that. I was incredibly go-getter, very judgmental, very like my life.
Very like
my
pick
life.
yourself up.
Pick yourself up. Our life are these kids, very much living
Right.
for the children. And then she, through working with her, she realized her hand in it, and she was very like, well, here's the deal. I get it. It was trauma. It was a lot. And I really didn't create an environment where he felt comfortable talking to me and I'll never do that again. So
Right.
they were able to repair. It's like, betrayal like that is a motherfucker. It's like, it's a lot of work.
tough.
It's a lot of
Yeah.
work. It is not impossible, but both people have to look towards one another and then towards the solution. Once you have that and you're committed to the solution, both of you, then you could look at it together. You can clean up the mess together
Yeah.
as opposed to blaming one another of who messed up what more.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's all that is.
On our, if you haven't already peeped the relationship episode where I go into me and Tyler's love story, I explained pretty much our whole past and how we went through cheating and got over it and how we got through it and how it took me like basically a full year for me to stop crying about it randomly, it takes time and people need to understand that and respect that.
It's
like,
totally traumatic. It's traumatic.
Yeah, you have to give
And you
yourself
change. And that's the
the
thing.
healing
Like,
time.
and like a lot of people, when they go through cheating, infidelity, what have you, they try to get back what they had prior to
Yeah.
that. And that's impossible because your relationship is fractured.
Yeah.
It's like you're now war buddies. You went through this together.
Yeah.
Like you're
Yeah,
like, whoa,
absolutely.
like if we can come out the other side of this, like we're ride or die.
Right. And that's what I was always saying. That's what I explained in that episode is like, if we hadn't gone through, like if we hadn't hit that rock bottom together, I wouldn't be so sure I could marry him and spend my life with him.
Totally,
And,
because now you're like, what worse can he tell you, right?
Literally
He'll be
have
like,
this
listen,
conversation.
baby, I have some news. Where's the body? Where are we burying it? I got you.
Ride or die.
That's it.
Let's
Put it in the
go.
trunk. I got the shovel. Let's roll.
Exactly.
Like, let's do it.
So I'd love to appeal to not only people in relationships, but people who are single and, maybe happy with where they are, doing their own thing. I'd really love to talk about self-love, and I know that you have a self-love mastery program. So I'd love
do,
to
which is
hear
so
about
cool.
that. Yeah.
I do, yeah, because I had to learn self-love at 44 years old. As I mentioned, I was classic codependent, which
Yeah.
means people who are codependent look for love outside of themselves. They believe that love is something that's to be earned, not something that they just get because they're here. So it's a worthiness issue. It comes from a lot of like parenting style where your kid believes that they need to please you to get love. It's a common thing. We see a lot of codependency in the world today.
That's really
do.
interesting. I know we toss around that term pretty often, codependent, but it's interesting to really get like the definition of it.
Yeah, like you end up feeling like your world is chaotic. You view your worldview as like it's chaos and I have to control chaos. So you're very into manipulating and controlling people to behave a certain ways to make you feel peaceful. Yeah, so there's a lot of
Yeah.
that goes on. It's very much rooted in fear and worthiness. You question your worthiness. So that
Yeah.
being said,
Yeah.
self-love mastery is like the antidote to that. It's the magic pill, if you will, that when you go through this type of program, your whole commitment is to you and to cultivate the best, strongest relationship possible with yourself. So when you do that, you'll learn how to be emotionally self-reliant, which then helps you to not show up so anxious and needy and clingy or opposite, aloof, ready to cut and run. These types of coping styles that we see in relationships. You get to the root of the codependency or the root of whatever it is in you that's lacking in self-love, like why, what happened, we go back in it.
Right.
And then it's really loving of yourself. Like it's all about giving yourself what you need, understanding what version of you needs help and support and compassion, and that it's okay to have feelings. It's
Yeah.
okay to feel what you feel, want what you want. No
Validating it.
validating big time, because when you validate yourself and love yourself, then you're not seeking validation outside of yourself.
Yeah, 100%.
And then your whole relationship dynamic completely changes. You show up
Yeah.
completely different.
Yeah.
And the other part is also the spirit aspect. So when you're self-loving, you're very connected to the divine. You're connected to your intuition, that inner voice, that guidance that never leads you astray. And so what I find is a lot of people, especially the clients that come to me heartbroken, they feel that they can't trust their judgment. Maybe they were in a relationship where they felt duped, or they were with somebody that started out adoring them and then they cut them down, like very narcissistic type of dynamic. And they're ruined, they're broken from this. And a lot of it has to do with the lack of trust of self, the disconnection between that inner voice that will say to you, listen, this guy is full of shit. And you need to do something about it,
Yeah.
and pay attention to that.
Yeah, the red
and actually
flags.
do the red flags, and take action from the red
Right.
flags and not ignore them. So once that's cultivated, then you feel like a complete and total badass, because you're
Yeah.
like, listen, you're going to cheat on me? That's an unfortunate decision, bro, but I got to go.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sit here and try to change you into something. I'm not going to, or we're going to work on this, but you need to show me that you want to work on this.
Right.
I'll give you another chance. Like, you're not perfect and I get it. But if I get the suspicion that it's like, you're just trying to play games and keep me in something that's just toxic, like, I'm out. Because
Yeah.
I love me better than anyone ever could or should. And I look out for me better than anybody will ever. So when you take that on, then you enter what I call the unfuckwithable badass
Ooh.
part of life.
Love that.
And it sounds super tough, but really it's about totally having your own back, being
Yeah.
super feminine, being stronger, not coming at people argumentative and with combative and competitive. None of that. It's about collaboration. It's about taking a breath when somebody's heated and pissed off and whatever, and it's like, my love, why do you suffer? And you pet them on their arm,
Yeah. But like
say-
knowing you're good.
knowing that you're holding the energy, you're holding the
Yeah,
space, right?
yeah.
You're like, I'm not meeting you where you are in the crazy. I'm not going to the crazy.
Right,
I love myself too much to go to the crazy, but I'm going to settle this down.
Yeah.
And as a woman, and I get into this a lot too with clients, is the masculine feminine dynamic, and also understanding the power of feminine energy. And this
Yeah.
was a thing I had to like really learn and master within myself, so that then I can teach it. When somebody is going there to a place of arguing and you're trying to meet them and be right, it puts you in it puts a woman in a very masculine place, and it never bodes well. But our power, our superpower, is that we could hold energy in such a way that that guy who's coming at us with beef or mood or whatever can feel so nurtured and so soothed that you squish the argument, you squish the beef, and then they lean on you, not in a needy, dysfunctional way, but they consider you their rock.
How do you feel like that's relatable to you?
Because you're literally describing my life. Tyler works in construction.
Okay.
So he always comes home, like, he's not doing hard labor, but sometimes he'll come up beat up from the sun, stressed out. Like, his work is very high stress, very high pressure. So he comes home and he has a whole story to tell about his day, how people fucked up and he had to fix it and he had to drive from Boca to Miami. And it's like, I always feel like I'm like, okay.
Yes,
Like, is
that's
it going to
it.
be a good mood? Is it going to be a bad mood? Did he have a bad day? Like, so
And
I
your
really
thing
relate
is-
to that.
Your thing is, I hold the vibe regardless of
Yeah,
what comes through that door.
totally.
Whatever comes through that door, it's like
Unless I'm hungry, because if I'm hungry, it's game over. I'm like, get the
Facts.
fuck out, go back to work.
yeah, Jedi.
No, but yeah, I mean, I do relate to that because I do try to hold that space, and I'm like, tell me about your day, what went wrong, like, how could you have been better? And I know he takes comfort in knowing that he can come home and just like, like
and
let
it
it go.
becomes a thing where, like, when you create that sanctuary of peace, and the woman is the
And
keeper
safety,
of that,
too,
and safety.
right?
The woman, the power that we have, we're the nurturers of the home space. We're
Yeah.
the keepers of the light in the home.
Yeah.
And when we nurture that space and make it safe space, and anything flies, and you can be
Whoever you
secure in your
want,
true
yeah.
self,
Yeah.
and that sanctuary is there, it is such an energy that's so powerful, where that guy leaves that office, and as he is en route to home, he's feeling less
Happy.
and less
Aw,
stressed.
yeah.
Where that's when you get the guy who does leave it at the door, who's like, I left work so pissed off, but
Yeah.
like it's 15 minutes later, and just the drive over, it put me in a different, because I knew I was coming
Right.
home to my home. I was coming home to
But
my
it's about
kid.
making that the safe space, you know?
Yeah. And it's not to say that, he's not allowed to bitch and complain. We all can.
Or
But
that she's not
or
allowed
that
to bitch and
she's not
complain.
either, of course. But it's being able to hold that space for one another where there's no
Yeah.
judgment, where there's
Yeah.
no like, you're being so picky, you're being this, you're being judgmental,
Right.
why don't you just tell your boss? Why you should just quit that job? Like it's the you should and it's judgment.
Yeah.
But when you say, wow, you must be feeling really stressed out about this, babe. And I don't
Yeah.
want you to feel stressed. Like, is there
Yeah.
anything
What
I
can
can
I
do?
do?
Like,
Yeah.
do you want to just have a shower and I'll
Right,
like
right.
crack open a beer for you? Like, what do you want to do?
Right. So I saw something on your Instagram on one of your captions that said something along the lines of like being a self partner or like a self partnership instead of a partnership with someone else. And I would love for you to elaborate on that because I think, being single is like, I don't know. Saying self partner is such a better way of looking at
It's
it
more
than,
powerful
than
than being
being
like, I'm single.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the whole thing started with Emma Watson, right? That the actress, the
Oh,
one, she was the
I
one who
had no
like said
idea.
it. Somebody said it. There's an
Okay.
actress a couple
Okay.
weeks ago, months ago, said I'm self partnered. She said it in like an interview.
And someone was
she-
like, "Oh, what's your dating life?"
Yeah.
Yes, she was in
probably.
an interview and they were on her and she said, I was so pressured to like get to marriage and children by the time I was 30. So that she just said, I'm going to just like pull the plug on this and be self-partnered. And it was a term that just blew up on the internet
Ooh.
after she said it.
For good reason. Yeah.
And then I started to look at that and I'm like, yeah, that's kind of like what I tell my people. Like being
Yeah.
self-partnered, it's all about self-love. It's all about like, I got me better than anyone ever could.
Yeah.
But not in like this bitchy, arrogant way, just in a self-loving way. Like it's my responsibility to take care of me better than anyone ever could.
Right.
And once you do that and you self-partner, it is amazing. Like you start to really learn about yourself and you learn about what flies, what doesn't fly, your bullshit meter.
Right.
You look at yourself as your truest, bestest love and you really just cultivate that friendship that, ride or die with you. And you really are very particular about who you're allowing around you. And it doesn't
Right.
only have to do with guys and dating. It has to do also with friendships.
Friends, yeah.
It's a time of really evaluating and cutting loose, like what is not working for you in your life and giving yourself the nourishment and the space to just be like, I'm going to love up on me and I'm going to give myself
Yeah.
what I need.
Yeah. And what do you feel like? I know there's a fine line, and how do you feel like finding the balance between someone who wants a serious relationship, but also being happy and being content with yourself? Like, what is the balance there?
So this is amazing. And that's where you have the sweet spot of being really pulled together in a relationship
Yeah.
where you can show up for that person and you can absolutely show up for yourself
At the same time.
at the same time.
Yeah.
And what does that look like practically? It's operating in a relationship from a place of peace and not anxiety
Right.
and not trying to make somebody different than who they are. And just being really mindful of what is being evoked in you, triggered in you, where you're just approaching everything as growth. And you're like, look, if he's saying something to me that's pissing me off, that's an excuse for me to look at me,
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's a lot of just looking inward, being with yourself,
Yeah.
giving yourself what you need when you need it. And there are definitely times in life where people just don't want to deal with the responsibility of someone else's feelings, somebody else's moods.
Maybe,
Because-
maybe they're going through enough and they're like, I
Absolutely.
can't take anything else on, any more emotional baggage or energy spent.
Right.
Yeah.
And evaluating where you are and saying, you know what, I'm just going to allow like the next 6 months to really look at my goals, to do some inventory on my life, money I want to make,
Yeah.
places I want to see, traveling I want to do, where it's basically I want to live my life and not factor in the opinion of anyone else right now.
Yeah.
Heard that.
And it's cool. There's
huge.
absolutely nothing wrong with that. Listen, if this
No.
is Valentine's Day week and this is
Yes.
The self-love
It
it
is.
matters, look, there are plenty of people out there who are like, well, Valentine's Day and it sucks and this and that, and I'm alone and who gives a shit, and I'm single and I love it and da da da.
Yeah.
All good. Like, all good, do you. Like, find a thing to do. Make that a day where you love up on you so much that
Buy
you're
yourself
like, damn.
flowers.
Absolutely. Listen,
Yeah.
a couple years ago, I was in the swirl of my shit pit of awful. I was kind of dating some dudes, still married at the time, separated, kind of whatever.
God.
It was a disaster.
Oh my God.
But still, I took myself out on Valentine's Day. I had miraculously, it was a beautiful manifestation. Friend of mine had like a sailing. It fell. Valentine's Day falls along boat week
Oh, okay.
here in Miami, right?
Okay.
So there were like all boating things happening. I got
Oh.
invited onto this sailboat. Oh, it was amazing. And here it is, Valentine's Day. They give all the people roses on this day.
Yeah.
They give you champagne, la la la.
Aw.
And we're all sitting there, and they put us out somewhere in Biscayne, almost near like Stiltsville. I'm being super local right now on a national, global podcast. Come to Miami, you'll love it.
Exactly.
Such a like an ad for Miami tourism
know.
right now. Hook us up.
Yeah, exactly.
But dolphins playing in the ocean. I see a trio of dolphins jumping and playing, and I was like, that's a sign from the
That's all
universe.
you
I'm
need.
gonna be okay. It's all gonna work out. I was
Yeah.
like all like loving up on the day and just being like, how blessed am I to be living where
Yeah.
it's warm, and I could see dolphins playing, and it was amazing. So
Yeah.
like, look for those miracles. Like, if you're on your own this Valentine's Day, you're not on your own, because you have source, you're eternally loved, you have guidance. Do you go get a facial, go get a massage, like do some kind of fun day trip, do whatever, just love
Yeah.
up on you.
Yeah.
Even like take yourself to dinner. I know that might like seem almost like counter, productive, as everyone else is going to be like coupled up, but like revel in the fact that other people are happy and in love, and don't be spiteful.
Or you can go with a girlfriend who you
Yeah.
enjoy her company, and you guys can buddy up and go together. But like, don't let yourself be sad about it. There's no need for that. There's enough love in your life. Celebrate love in general. It doesn't have to be romantic love. It could be love within your family, love for your dog, love for your cat,
Yup.
Like, it's just celebrating love in life.
Me and Nugget will be spending this Valentine's together.
Nugget is a lucky dog, and you're
He
a lucky
really-
lady
he
to have
really
Nugget,
is.
because you guys have a high vibe for sure.
He's the best,
He's a
man.
sweet dog.
He's the
the
best.
best.
I love him so much.
Okay, so we'll go into our deep dive now. It's a set of 3 questions that we ask every guest. The first question being, what is your why?
Ooh, what is my why? What a fabulous question. Okay, so my why, like the thing that my thing is attached to,
Yes.
basically, is one word: freedom.
Oh,
Freedom.
love that.
It's living a lifestyle where I can do what I want, hang with who I want, motivate, inspire, uplift who I drive with, who blends with what this flavor is. Freedom and authenticity. That's my why. Like, if I'm
Love
not
it.
living authentically and being free in my own self, like, there's no point in that.
Yeah.
There's no point.
Love it. Live your
Love
truth,
that.
sis.
Yeah, there you go.
And this isn't one of our deep dive questions, but what's your sign?
I'm a Pisces. I'm having a birthday in the coming weeks. I guess by the time this
Happy-
airs.
Happy
Yeah.
early birthday.
Thank you.
Happy
Thank you.
birthday.
Thank you.
So
Yeah.
exciting. So the second question of our deep dive is, what's your favorite quote and why? Or
My-
what does it mean to you?
Okay. So my favorite quote is, when people show you who they are, believe them. Maya Angelou.
That's good.
And then take some action.
yeah, that's good.
I love that.
Yeah.
And why is that your favorite quote?
Just because it rings so true.
Yeah.
Watch actions. I have a quote, a modern spin on that, where it's, when the words and the actions aren't aligned, the words are bullshit.
Yeah.
It's a very New York
I like
spin.
that.
It's a very New York no bullshit spin.
Wrong spin on that.
On that. Yeah,
Love that.
because, it's hey, the words sound pretty, but show me the actions, right? And when
Absolutely.
when a person shows you who they are, believe them.
Facts.
Love
Okay.
that.
Last but definitely not least, what do you think separates successful people? In this case, we can say successful people in love, in a relationship, or just genuinely happy. What do you think separates successful people from those who give up, fail, or never get started on their dreams?
Commitment to the why.
Okay.
So get clear on the why for anything. Why am I starting this business? Why am I in a relationship? Why? And then reverse engineer it and be like, okay, how committed am I to this why?
And what do I have to do?
Right.
to get there.
And
Yep.
who do I have to become?
Who
to
must
get
I
there?
become? Right.
Yes.
And welcome that journey, because it's a journey and it's gonna push buttons and challenge you, and you know, you girls know this, you've had careers, you've had now podcasts, like you have to become a different version of you to take on something unfamiliar and scary
Absolutely.
and push out of those comfort zones, because on the
Absolutely.
other side is a new whole amazing version of us, you know. It's awesome.
And also
100%.
enjoy the journey, because I know I struggle with this, is being so focused on that end goal.
Yes.
And then you get there and you're like, oh, I kind of missed the fun and the journey of it, you know? Like that's the whole point.
So true.
Yeah.
Oh, the presence of just, here's where I am, and I want to go over there. You know, I
Yeah.
look at it like there's somebody, was it Abraham Hicks, gave this great analogy of, you know, when we go on vacation, we go on vacation for the trip. We don't go on vacation to come back again.
Right.
Right. So
Yeah.
like you miss the whole fun of the vacation. So it's, you know, the planning, I just booked a cruise with a client, right?
Mm-hmm.
This was crazy. I had given, I gave the assignment to a client where she was,
it.
like, you know, I have to get up on my self-care. I have to like really go in my self-care. And I was like, well, talk to me about like travel and vacations. Like, you know, you have this great job. You work for Norwegian Cruise Lines. You know, you have probably access to cruises. She's like, yeah, they give us like 4 cruises a year and I never take my days. And I'm like, all right, girl, number 1, you need to take your days. You're like, I want you
Yeah,
to
take
So
that
I gave her the
time.
assignment to go and book her whole year for 2020 in one shot. So she has to stick to it.
Love that.
So she books March, my birthday month, and she had a girlfriend come in with her who then backed out because she has work. So because your girlfriend's not good on self-care, don't let that mess with your self-care. So
Nope.
she texted me like, what do you think I should do? So I said, well, what are the dates? I'll go.
Hell yeah. You
Like,
must
send.
That's the kind of coach I am. You know?
really hands
When you
on.
book
hands
Lisa,
on.
you get a cruise, buddy.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm going to stick to your self-care, even if I have to go myself
You're
with
really
you.
dedicated here.
I am, right?
Love
So I
it.
said to her, you know, for real, like, how much is it and what are the dates? Because I said March is my birthday month and I treat myself to something usually extravagant for my birthday.
Yeah.
Because who loves me more than me, right?
Right.
So, yeah, I got to
Gotcha.
walk my talk. I'm telling everybody else
Yeah.
to do this shit. I got to do it too.
Exactly.
So she wrote me back right away and she said, that would be amazing. I would love to
Aw.
do that together. It'd be great.
So
that was it.
fun.
Now we're booking it. So it's super fun.
fun.
Yeah, super fun.
That's amazing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
for
girls.
joining
This
us.
was delightful.
Yeah, so much fun.
Our first Valentine's Day episode.
And it was with me. This is so exciting. I love it.
Yay. If people want to know more about you, where can they find you on social media?
So, your listeners can totally find me on Instagram at Lisa the Love Coach. But I have a gift for the people.
But there's more.
Yeah, I have a gift for the people. So if you're listening
Check
to
under
this,
your seat.
no, you get a car. You get a car. You get a car.
Cruise.
Yes. So if you're listening, I offer a free love life assessment,
Ooh.
which you can get hooked up with at lovequestcoaching.com. That's my
Okay.
little hub for all yumminess and good stuff.
Love
There's
it.
a blog over there where that article is that I mentioned earlier about
Cool.
the 20 great questions to ask on a first date.
We'll include that in the show notes
Include
as well
that in
for
the
you
show
guys.
notes. Let's see what else is over there. I have some really cool free audio guides over there. So some just content, little, my no bullshit guide to self-love, my no bullshit guide to getting over a breakup.
Love it.
All kinds of relationship issues. So you can grab that over there as well. Lovequestcoaching.com. Fun.
Yeah, and if you guys like this episode, if you guys found some value in it, please share on your stories, tag us, tag Lisa. Let us know how it affected you or impacted you. We would love to hear.
And also share with a friend who you know needs to hear this, because I know you're thinking of like 5 friends who need to hear this episode right
yeah,
now.
facts. So,
Yeah, that's it. Guys, have a great, lovely week. Have an amazing Valentine's Day. Treat yourself.
we love you.
And happy Monday. Kill
Happy
it.
Monday.